Greetings, I'm Professor Hobo, and welcome to another HOBOTECH product review. Today we have a brand new offering from the big refrigeration company ICECO. This is their new Indiegogo offering. They call it the iCooler. It is a 3-in-1 12-volt compressor, refrigerator, deep freezer, and actually a cooler. This thing is designed to carry water and ice to keep your stuff cold for over 2 days without even being plugged in. Now, I've had this for about 3 weeks, and of course, I've put it through every rigorous test I can think of out here in the 100-degree Arizona heat. I came up with some really interesting results, but in the end, I did find out it's pretty cool. Let's check it out. So first, let's give you a little 360 of what the ICECO fridge looks like. You see it's got the controls on the front. It has the plug on the front. The only thing that's on the side, on either side, is ventilation. And then on the back, you have this honking water release. Look at this, you got this huge drain. That thing's just like monstrous. It also comes in with built-in cup holders, and that's probably a little too small for a cell phone, but you can probably put like change or something in there. Now, it doesn't have a typical latching mechanism for the refrigerator. There's no push buttons or anything like that. It's these heavy-duty rubber releases. I'll show you what the inside looks like. So they give you this little refrigeration rack, so anything you put up top will stay cooler than it would down in the bottom. But as you can see in here, it actually says you can put water up to here. So you could literally fill this thing up with water up to here, freeze it solid, and then put your food on top and then take it out for a couple of days unplugged, and it'll act as a cooler. Now you can see these walls are very thick, they're very heavily insulated, but this refrigerator actually isn't that heavy. It's only about 45 pounds or so. And they gave you some specifications right there. It does use up to 55 watts. I actually found it uses a little bit less than that on 12 volts, but I'm guessing that's the maximum. So what does it come with? Well, of course, you get the refrigerator, and you get the 12-volt cable. So this just plugs into your cigarette lighter in your vehicle or into your portable power station solar generator. And then this side goes right into the front, plugs in, and then you can set the controls. Now, it also does come with this AC adapter. So basically, it's just a power brick. It just converts AC wall outlet power into a 12-volt socket. So if you don't have 12 volt, or if you're gonna run this in an apartment or something like that, you just wanna plug it into the wall, it does come with this adapter. So what's the difference between, say, this and one of those cheap $99 dorm fridges you get at Best Buy? Well, first of all, this will do deep freezing. This will go down to 0 degrees Fahrenheit and rock solid freeze everything in here. I know, I've done it, even outside in 100-degree Arizona heat, and I've had this outside for 3 weeks now. It froze everything solid and kept it frozen solid without any problems whatsoever. It's also, of course, designed to hold ice and water. Now, I didn't actually put ice and water in this, but it's obvious that it will hold it. They say whenever they molded this plastic, they made it really tough and heavy duty, and it actually does have a UV coating in it. It has been out in the sun for quite a while. I haven't noticed any fading or anything like that on the top compared to the sides. So it does seem like the UV coating does work. This refrigerator is 42 quarts, and it does use up to 55 watts of power. And this is also designed to be tilted 30 degrees in any direction. So if you have it in a vehicle and you have it, for whatever reason, tilted up left, right, or to the side up to 30 degrees, it still works. So this is actually made for off-road use. It's great for RVing, especially if you do a lot of boondocking off-road where it's really bumpy and you might be taking some steep inclines and stuff like that. It's heavy duty. It's made to be bumped around. It's made to be outdoors. Now, obviously, you can't get the outside wet. You're not supposed to leave this in the rain. It hasn't rained here for weeks, so there hasn't been an issue here. Let's take a closer look at the controls. We're powering this from a little baby Jackery. And we're going to tell you exactly how long this refrigerator will run off this in a little while. So let's zoom in and show you what all the buttons do. And of course, you have the on-off button. You have this gear button, which will switch between maximum compressor mode and economy mode. Now in max compressor mode, it actually runs louder, but the compressor will run at 100% and it actually cools off way faster. But if you keep it on eco mode, the compressor actually slows down and it uses less power. It takes a little bit longer to cool off, and it's also quieter and runs a little bit cooler on the outside here. So if you have this in a vehicle and it's summertime, you're probably gonna wanna put it on eco just so it's not really loud and just so you're not gonna get a lot of heat pouring out of this thing. Of course, you have the temperature adjustment here. You can adjust it all the way down to 0 degrees Fahrenheit. And of course, you can switch this to centigrade or Celsius, depending on what you prefer. All I have to do is switch it there, and there you go. It currently says 46 degrees because I had it unplugged. I usually keep it up into around the mid-30s, and it seems to be a good compromise between cold and energy efficiency. Now, the iCooler, like a lot of other compressor refrigerators, actually has a power setting level on it. So basically a safety feature. So if you have this thing plugged into your car, it won't kill your starter battery. I'll show you how to access that secret menu on the refrigerator. Now, in order to access the 3 power levels that this refrigerator will accept before shutting down, you hold the on-off button and the gear button at the same time while it's plugged in but turned off. So it's got 3 little dashes at the bottom. If you click up, you see it makes more dashes. So all the dashes up, all the way up, means that it's its most sensitive setting. So it'll actually shut the refrigerator off at a higher voltage. Now, I leave mine all the way down because I want it to keep running until the lowest possible voltage because I don't want my food to get ruined. And this information is also covered in the manual that comes with this. Of course, the professor put this through all of his paces. We tested the different energy consumption modes of this: eco mode, max mode, set as a freezer, set as a refrigerator. We left some stuff in here overnight, a 24-hour period in 100-degree heat to see if this thing really can be a cooler. Can it keep your food fresh for at least a day unplugged? So let's go check out the results of those tests. Give you a look at what it looks like inside. For those of you curious, got a nice big, looks like 100mm or so PC fan. It does the cooling through the little coil there, and there's the compressor. It's a HOBOTECH compressor. I don't know if that's any good or not. So what I've done is, I'll show you here, I've put a 6-pack of water, a gallon of aloe vera, since I have nowhere else to put it, and we have some chicken broth. So we have about 50% full. See there where it's about 8 degrees Fahrenheit. We have 6 bottles of water, a gallon of aloe vera, and some chicken broth. So let's go ahead and torque this thing down so that the lid stays on nice and tight. Display there says 7 degrees Fahrenheit. So that's where we're gonna start the test. So I'll come back out here around 8 o'clock tonight after the sun goes down. We'll check the temperature, and then we're gonna check it tomorrow, 24 hours from now. We're gonna see how cold is it still in there. Is that water still frozen? Does it turn to liquid? What's the temperature gauge say inside, and what's it say outside? And that way we'll determine how good of a cooler is this. And yes, I'm actually gonna use some shade cloth in this case, because this Arizona sun is, you probably wouldn't leave this out in the sun anyway directly. But I'm gonna go ahead and put some shade cloth over this to prevent all the sun from just baking the crap out of that all day long. So let's come check it out later. We're starting the test today at 90 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, we're back. It's about 8:30 at night. It's been 8 hours. Let's see how the ICECO cooler is doing. Okay, so it's showing 38 degrees. So it has come above freezing, but it is still well within refrigerator range, but probably not for much longer. You can see on there, it says the danger zone starts at 40 degrees, and we're almost there. I had these frozen for 24 hours in here, frozen solid, and they're now liquid. Now I'm gonna go ahead and leave it overnight. Let's go ahead and close this back up. All right, it has been 24 hours since we unplugged the iCooler from ICECO. Let's go inside and see what the temperature is. I'm suspecting, since it's about 95 degrees out here, it's probably not pretty, seeing that after 8 hours last night, it was already at 40 degrees. But let's open it up and find out. Amazingly, it's only 46 degrees. I expected it to be a lot warmer than that. And these are definitely still cold. I realize I only have this fill up maybe about halfway. And the reason I only have this filled up halfway is because it's more realistic on how you'd use it. I know physics. I went to college for physics. I understand thermal mass, that if you put a whole bunch of stuff in here and get it really cold, it'll stay colder for longer. But I know most people aren't going to pack this 100% full. They're probably going to pack it about half full. So that's why I put the about half thermal mass of what this would normally take. So give you a kind of accurate estimation of what your actual field results might be. And this is an exceptionally hot day. It's about 95 degrees today. It was 90 degrees yesterday. This has been about 25 hours actually. I went an hour over. But so after 25 hours, it's still holding 46 degrees, which for the most part, your food would still be fine. It'd still be edible. It wouldn't have started to rot or anything. So I'm really impressed. I expected to open this up and see like 60 degrees. But that's not too bad at all for this being outside 95-degree weather. So the cooler functionality seems to work. So it passed the 24-hour test as a cooler. Let's go ahead and do the next experiment, which is go ahead and turn it back on. I'm going to put it on maximum here. Here we have the ICECO iCooler starting at 4 degrees Fahrenheit. It just said 2 degrees when I plugged it in, so it just kicked back on after I plugged it in. Here it is. And what I'm doing to sort of protect it from direct sunlight is I do have a piece of carpet with a rubber mat, just in case we get a little sprinkle at night. I don't want the electronics in here to get wet. So I just have this in the back of the side-by-side. So as we start the test around 12:30 p.m. today, the temperature outside is 95 degrees Fahrenheit. And here I have my new watt meter that will not lose its settings if the power shuts off. That's the problem I have with a kilowatt. If the power shuts off, I lose all my settings. So I got this new watt meter here. It rates cumulative runtime and cumulative watt hours. So I'll be able to tell you over the next 24 hours how much power it's been using. Results for the time, 24-hour runtime on the ICECO fridge, 1,512 minutes. And it is 1.1 kilowatt hours, so 1,100 watt hours to run 24 hours on its maximum setting. That's a lot of power. As you can see, the ICECO fridge is still holding 5 degrees Fahrenheit, even though it is 100 degrees out today. For our next test, we're going to switch this over to eco mode and run it for 24 hours and see, does it use any less power? So there we go, eco mode enabled. There we go, I have the kilowatt hour meter reset. Let's give it another 24 hours. Go, it is 100 degrees as we start the test today. Temperature today is 99 degrees. It was 100 degrees just a few minutes ago. Looks like we have about the same conditions as yesterday. Let's go check the power. Well, that's significantly less power. 870 watt hours for a 24-hour period. Actually, I went a little over 24 hours. It's probably closer to 25 hours, but we'll call that like maybe 0.85 for 24 hours. That's using eco mode. It says here the compressor ran for 1,474 minutes, which is probably constant. It does look like the refrigerator is holding a slightly higher temperature than yesterday because I do have it on eco mode. I believe what it does is it turns the compressor down so it doesn't use as much power. I noticed it's only pulling 45 watts as it's running. So that might explain why it's running a little bit warmer. I mean, this is still considered a really good, almost deep freezer temperature. So 11 degrees Fahrenheit, it's 100 degrees outside. So the next thing I want to do with the iCooler is plug it back in, get it to 40 degrees, which is the maximum temperature recommended for having safe food. And then we're going to do a 24-hour power test. I'm going to put it in eco mode, 40 degrees, and we're going to do a 24-hour run and show you exactly how much power you can expect to use on a hot summer day to keep the stuff inside, refrigerator cold. Now for our final test of the ICECO iCooler, we're going to go ahead and set the refrigerator to 39 degrees Fahrenheit. We're going to let it run for 24 hours. It's around 8:30 p.m. right now. We're going to let it run until 8:30 p.m. tomorrow and figure out exactly how many kilowatt hours it used and how many minutes the compressor ran in that 24-hour period. The temperature is set to 39 degrees Fahrenheit, and the refrigerator is currently 41, so it's going to shut off any moment now. Let's go ahead and reset the counter for both minutes and kilowatt hours. Then let's go ahead and put the illuminate back on, and that'll keep the direct sun off of the cooler. And if you're interested in illuminate, you can get it on hobotech.tv/Amazon. Now all we gotta do is just wait 24 hours, come back, and look at the numbers. And also, just FYI, the meter I just showed you is for pull from the AC outlet. I do have this DC meter. It's checking the power from the DC brick to the refrigerators. This is going to give us an accurate measure of watt hours it's going to use if you had it plugged into the 12-volt port of like a Jackery or a Bluetti. Whereas, so this other meter is going to give us the accurate representation of how much power it would pull from a wall outlet. So I'll have those numbers for both of you in 24 hours. Okay, it's been 24 hours. It's 8:30 p.m. the next day. The ICECO iCooler has been running for 24 hours on eco mode at 39 degrees. We're going to show you what temperature is it right now, which it should be 39 or close to that degrees. And we're going to show you how much AC power it pulled and how much DC power it pulled in that 24-hour period. Now, this is going to be its most efficient setting. Do recall that today we had 101 degrees, so it was hot here. It is pretty chilly in there. Even though we have it set to 39 degrees, it's actually 30 degrees at the bottom of the fridge, so it's actually doing a better cooling job than we expected. AC power load for 24 hours, 330 watt hours. That's not bad. And it looks like it ran 1,421 minutes total on the compressor. Now that's AC statistics. That's actually what it pulls from an AC outlet. Let's go check and see how many watt hours it pulled from the DC outlet. So there you guys have your answer. It takes 18.5 amp hours or 227 watt hours to run the ICECO iCooler for 24 hours at 39 degrees in 100 degree weather on 12 volt power. Now that's how much 12 volt power it takes. So as you can see, the iCooler actually takes significantly less power on 12 volts than it does through AC. And this is the importance of running a refrigerator on 12 volts. A lot of people say, well, you can just buy a mini fridge at Best Buy for $100, plug it into a cheap inverter, and you're good to go. Well, those refrigerators take a lot more power. They're not very well insulated, so you end up paying in the end in like twice or 3 times as much battery power. Now this takes 227 watt hours on DC power or 330 watt hours on AC power. That's like a third more power just to run it on an AC conversion. And this is not running on an inverter. This is running off of a little cheap power brick. This power brick here is like what you'd see for a laptop. It converts 110 AC power into 12 volts DC power. And that's all it does. It doesn't have fans in it. It's nothing fancy. It's not a big, powerful inverter. It's a crappy little cheap AC to DC converter. And look at how much power that wastes. This also goes with CPAP machines. I know a lot of you out there use CPAP machines. You run them off the AC inverter, and that wastes a ton of power. Now, if you run them on DC or you get a converter from the manufacturer of your CPAP machine, that will save you so much battery power to run 12-volt devices off of 12 volts instead of running them off of AC power. Because AC power converted to DC power or DC converted to AC wastes a lot of power. Sometimes in this case, up to a third of your power is just wasted to heat. So that means you're paying extra for solar, you're paying extra for batteries, and it's just getting wasted to heat. So always try to run 12 volts if possible. So for those of you that don't understand watt hours, how much is 227 watt hours? How big would that battery be? Right here. Jackery Explorer 240 actually has a usable capacity that could run this refrigerator for 24 hours. Think about that. 24 hours to run a refrigerator off of this little thing right here. You can get these for $200. That's a pretty good deal. And then of course you can charge this off solar the next day, or actually charge solar while the refrigerator's running. Now, the thing is, this isn't going to charge fast enough to keep that refrigerator running forever. But if you get a larger Jackery or a Bluetti or any larger power station, now you can do the math. So it's one of these Jackery 240s a day. So if you want to run this refrigerator for 4 days without any solar at all, you need a 1,000 watt hour power station. That's pretty simple. That means you can get the Jackery Explorer 1000, Bluetti 1500, and still have a couple more days of power left on that thing. If you had the Bluetti 2400, do the math on that. Well over a week. The EcoFlow Delta 1300 has about 1,000 watt hours of usable battery in it. Again, 4 days. And that's not using any solar or charging it at all. You can charge a lot of these from your car, your vehicle, or you can charge them from solar. And you could pretty much run indefinitely. If you have a big enough power station, you can run one of these refrigerators indefinitely. As long as you have a way to charge it, either with solar or from a 12 volt vehicle, or of course you can even charge these things from a generator too. If you have a generator, you can charge them up with that. Now that's kind of cheating, but it gives you 3 ways to charge. So there you go. That's it for the iCooler testing. What do you guys think in the comments? So if you're interested in the iCooler, there's going to be a link below in the description to the Indiegogo campaign. They're currently asking for a $2.99 pledge in order to get one of these. They are due to come out in July this year, 2020. And so far, I have no issues whatsoever recommending this refrigerator. ICECO is a well-known brand, and this does have a 2-year warranty. So if you do end up having any kind of issues with it, you can return it to ICECO. It's only going on for about another week. By the time this video comes out, there's only going to be about a week left of the campaign. So if you want to get one of these for the low price of $2.99, I think it's an absolute steal with all these features. As you see, this thing performs pretty darn well. The fact of the matter that you can run this an entire 24-hour day in 100-degree heat on one of these is pretty amazing. Now, if you live in a colder climate, if you're in a colder area, it'll probably use way less than that. I'm pretty much saying, according to my test, in the most harsh condition you can put it at, it's going to use less power than one of these holds. And this is the Jackery Explorer 240. It's a little 240 watt-hour portable power station. It does have a regulated 12-volt output. Now, if you're going to run a 12-volt compressor refrigerator like this, you need to have something like a Jackery or a BOUGERV or an EcoFlow, because all 3 of those companies make products that have regulated 12-volt output. Because what happens is, if you buy some cheap power station that doesn't have a regulated 12-volt output, which means it holds a higher voltage no matter what the battery gets drained down to, this refrigerator will conk out on you if it goes below 11 volts. And a lot of power stations without regulated 12 volt will drop way below 11 volts. I've seen them go as low as 8 volts when they're about ready to die. So you might only get 1/3 of your battery capacity or 1/2 your battery capacity before the thing will conk out and your refrigerator will start warming up. At least if you get a Jackery, a BOUGERV, or an EcoFlow product, most of what they make have the 12-volt regulated power supply, and therefore it'll run your refrigerator until the battery in this is completely dead. That's what you want to get. So don't let anybody tell you otherwise. Yes, you can actually get a cheaper power station and run this off of AC power by using the inverter. But as you saw in the results, it's going to use a lot more power. You're talking in a neighborhood of more than 30% power to run the same refrigerator at the same temperature settings, just because you want to use AC power instead of 12 volt. These are designed to run off 12 volt. If you try to run them off AC power, there's a lot of wasted energy and heat. So now that you saw the results, you can make up your mind whether you think the ICECO iCooler is a good deal for $2.99. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you learned something today. If you did, don't forget to give me a thumbs up below. And if you're not a subscriber already, you know what to do. That's it for now. Till next time.
Odin commands you to like and subscribe, and clean my litter box. RV Golf Guy, Z Foxfire.